everybody. Pastor Randy here. Welcome to Making It Simple. Great to be with you today. Hope that all of you are well as we're getting ready to head into the weekend. So, of course, today is Thursday, our last episode for the week, and then we'll be back on Monday. We've been talking about the danger of religion. Now, one may hear that comment and have all kinds of different thoughts or views. Again, that's not my intent. My intent is I really don't like the shock value stuff that's out there. There's a lot that really seem to use that as their platform. That's not what I'm talking about. When I use that phrase, the danger of religion, what am I speaking of? When something is dangerous, it either causes harm or hindrance. The things that get in the way of understanding what a relationship with Christ is dangerous. Why? Because it has eternal implications. See, friends, if we're not prepared when this journey that we call life is over, and we've not come to that understanding of who God really is, the Bible's clear that doesn't end well. Because Jesus came so that whoever would believe in him would not perish. What does that word mean? Cease to exist. That's not a free ticket to say, well, if I just die, then I just go away. There's a lot deeper understanding than that. Because if that were the case, no one would fear. No one would fear what eternity is like without Christ. That's an entirely different episode, entirely different teaching. In fact, if you can go back in the archives right here on this channel, which I encourage you to subscribe and like and share and all this other stuff, because we're really trying to build this ministry online to help people understand the simplicity of the message. The beauty of simple. That's what this whole thing is about, making it simple. There's an entire series called What Does God Say About Hell? Very interesting. I don't have the traditional look on that, because if we read and we listen to what God is actually saying, we understand things completely different. One of the things that I'm finding as we're looking at this particular study is the compelling examples that we have that have been presented and given to us through Scripture. What we find in consistency from Genesis to Revelation, it's the story. It's the narrative. It's the turmoil. It's the good and the evil and the love and the brokenness and the supernatural and faith and failure and everything else that we find in life. That's what it is. It's the basic instructions before leaving earth. It's the story of life. How does it work? And you have all these different characters interwoven into it. But what we find is there's always a solution. We find from the Old Testament, listen to God. That's the solution. But we also find interwoven within that is a promise of one to come. Well, that's fulfilled through the person of Christ. That's what we celebrate in particular this month as we gather together for different celebrations through the Christmas season. And again, that in and of itself, sadly, is a controversial subject for some, not for many. But the answer is Jesus. Why do I say controversial for some? Well, there again, we get into religion. Okay? This one gets all their hackles out of shape about this, and this one gets all out of shape about that, and they start talking about what's a pagan and what's a heathen and what's a this and what's a that, and they take completely and read Scripture out of context and makes a absolute mess out of everything. The plan, if we go back and understand, at the beginning, the plan from the Garden of Eden was very, very specific. My seed will crush the head of the serpent. So what we find here is the promise of one coming. The promise of one who would ultimately settle everything. The answer was always going to be Jesus. The answer is Jesus. Knowing him and merely knowing about him has entirely two different results. What am I speaking of? Religion offers knowledge about him. A personal relationship with him will change your life. How is that different? Because one means something to you. One is mere knowledge. See, friends, you can know a whole lot of stuff. You can. You can know the formula to rocket fuel. You can know whatever. You know, my kids are taking geometry or algebra or whatever. You can know the circumference of a triangle. But does that change your life? No. And I'm not demeaning learning. But religion only offers knowledge. It does not offer relationship. You can know about God all day long. I hear people all on all of these platforms, and there are a growing number of people joining these platforms, expressing their views and thoughts and whatever on the Bible and on Scripture and on whatever. But what I'm hearing is knowledge. I've learned this and I've learned that. Well, you can learn a lot of stuff. You can learn a lot of stuff wrong too. I've had people teach me things in the course of life, you know, whether it's a hobby or whether it's a method or whatever, that ultimately was not right. You found a better way. Matthew chapter 11, verses 28, 29, very, very familiar verse, right? It says, "Come unto me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Many people have heard this. "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me." That's a singular narrative there. Learn from me, because I am lowly and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your soul. So follow me. Learn from me. Now, many are familiar with that particular passage as it is written in the way that I just wrote it or read it to you, okay? But how about if we could do it a little bit clearer? Now again, religion tells you, well, you can only have one version of the Bible. Well, that's not true either. Listen to this. This speaks directly to your heart, which was the intent of this writer, Mr. Peterson. Are you tired? Are you worn out? Are you burned out on religion? Come to me. This is what Jesus is inferring when he says, learn from me. Come to me. Get away with me, and you'll recover life. I'll show you how to take a real rest, one that actually refreshes you. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythm of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. Man, that's awesome. What is that talking about? The burden and heaviness. Is that saying that, okay, you're never going to have a hard time in your life again? No, that's not what that's saying at all. He's saying if you will learn from me, not from the religious things that you keep hearing, that you got to do this and you got to do that. And again, I shared this on yesterday's message. You got to wear this and you got to turn your hat this way and you got to bow this way and you got to... He says, come to me. Learn from me. This invitation from Jesus is a personal one. It is. He said, learn from me, follow me. He was telling everybody who was willing to listen, follow me. Let's consider this for just a moment, and we'll wrap up with this. A person is seeking answers, right? A person is on a spiritual journey. What do they need? What do they need? Do they need a complex, convoluted path that is filled with all types of confusion and big words and do's and don'ts and you better not? Or a simple, straightforward answer? Which one makes more sense? When someone cannot find the solutions they desperately seek, they stop looking. But when someone hears that the answer lies in the person of Christ, do they need to navigate a maze of requirements? Or do they just need to simply meet him? There's a big difference in how that journey ends. God bless you, friends. Hope you have a great rest of the day. And Lord willing, I'll see you on Monday as we continue to look at this most important subject.